Alright, so first story is coming from international border in Jammu. Remember, as we speak, 5 sectors are in fact witnessing right now massive retaliation from the Indian forces. Once again, Pakistan at its best at the border, making it sure that the border remains boiling. But Indian forces have retaliated. What we are learning, dear viewers, is that at least heavy losses have been incurred on the BSF or on the Pakistani side. 2 Pakistani ammunition and oil dumps of Pakistani Rangers have been completely destroyed, and that's what has caught fire. Well, 4 Pakistani Rangers, we can confirm you, have been neutralized so far, and 6 Pakistani border outposts have been destroyed. These are the details that we are picking up exclusively. The retaliation, the cross-border fire is happening as we speak in international border, also along line of control in Rajouri and Poonch, as well as in Samba sector at the international border in Jammu district. All right, and we have as we go across to Tejinder, we can see Tejinder filing that report, ground report from the very place where it's happening right now. Payal, my colleague Payal Mehta, senior correspondent, is joining us live with Dr. Jitendra Singh. Payal, I'm handing it over to you. First reactions, the fact that Indian forces in fact have retaliated befittingly and massive damage inflicted on the other side. Over to you, Payal.
Well, of course, yes. Sakal, good morning to all the viewers and good morning to you. Joining us right now is Dr. Jitendra Singh. Remember, Dr. Jitendra Singh was in Jammu yesterday. He, in fact, did visit the martyrs' family and also went and met some of those injured yesterday. Dr. Jitendra Singh, today, just as we speak, heavy damage has been, inflicted on Pakistan forces, their equipment, their ammunition by our forces. Clearly, our forces fighting it tooth and nail. Firstly, how would you like to really speak about the kind of action that India has really shown? They have, in fact, fought Pakistan right up to the nail.
No, I agree with you. And I think to add to what you said, I think it's for the first time in several years, in several decades, that this kind of a retaliatory action has been witnessed from the Indian side. And I think that's also partly because the government has given the security forces the liberty, the freedom to take a decision depending upon their professional discretion and professional preferences. And I think this also bears testimony from the fact that the people living on the borders have a very high level of morale, and they too feel, in spite of all the hardship, feel at least gratified to the extent that a retaliatory action has been happening for the first time, which they had been expecting for several years. Having said that, I think what is, as you said, I visited the injured, they are being taken care of, and of course the administration is also very promptly responding. But what is worrisome is that even in a situation like this, when, as you rightly mentioned, there's been a heavy shelling and heavy civilian casualty in the last 2 days, there are some Pak apologists.
Yes, I was coming to that. Somebody like an Omar Abdullah, mind you, who's not just a politician, sir. He's been the chief minister of that particular state, knows the dynamics in and out. Now, he, at that point in time, advocates for talks with Pakistan. I mean, what are these people thinking? What do they think they want to do? What do they want to really achieve? Is there going to be anything ever as serious as national security and nationality over and above their, trying to appease Pakistan in some way or the other?
See, without naming anybody, I like to respond to what the issue raised by you is very significant in 2-3 parts. It's been now a culture in the Kashmir-centric politics for several years now that these Kashmir-centric politicians and political groups, when they are in power, they swear by Kashmir being a part of India. The moment they are thrown out of power, they overnight become wiser and start questioning the existence of Kashmir, the status of Kashmir, etc., and try to indulge in separatist or separatist jargon in a bid to appease. Now remember, this is the same lobby of these Kashmir-centric so-called mainstream politicians. They call themselves mainstream, who are doing so not out of any conviction or out of courage of conviction. They are not even loyal to what they are saying. This is just an opportunistic politics by expediency.
They don't even mind, in fact, alleging or making allegations against the army chief as well.
No, I'll just give you an example. Tomorrow you swear them into the government. They'll start swearing by the army chief. They'll start swearing by the government of India, by the sovereignty of India, by the Republic of India. So they are not even loyal to the cause of separatism or separatism. This is purely opportunism. Now these are the same Wardis who are always ready to give you a TV bite, to post a tweet, even on subjects which are not remotely connected with them. But if a security person dies in their backyard or even in their constituency, they neither have the courage nor the conviction to post a tweet of condolence. So you can very well, I think they stand absolutely exposed.
But absolutely, I mean, and the kind of action that we've seen against Pakistan, we've done these cross-border raids as well. Clearly, Pakistan seems to be exposed. They are rattled. They really don't know which way to run, because on one front, they're getting exposed globally. On the other front, they really don't know how to counter their own dirty design. Now, in the recent past, we've seen a video, or rather, we've seen a person come out who's a Baluch leader. He's come out and he has said that he has enough proof to show how Kulbhushan Jadhav was nabbed by the ISI in Iran. They tried to, in fact, make a scapegoat out of him. So clearly, even as we fight this case out in the ICJ, this is yet another occasion where we can actually name, shame and blame Pakistan for really playing that dirty trick department is constantly on.
Yes, certainly agreeing with you. The Minister for External Affairs, Shrimati Sushma Swaraj, made a statement on the floor of the House, in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and made the government's position very clear. I think the difference in the last 3-4 years is that the Modi government has followed an approach of conviction, consistency and clarity as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. And as a part of, as a result of the successful personal outreach of Prime Minister Modi and the kind of influence he commands and clout he commands across the globe, even those countries of the world which were earlier not ready to accept India's viewpoint as far as Pakistan's role in perpetrating, sponsoring terrorism on the Indian soil is concerned, are now coming around to India's viewpoint. So that's a huge diplomatic victory for Prime Minister Modi, his personal outreach and his government. And at the same time, the manner in which the security forces have been allowed to work in a more professional manner without undue interference or intimidation is showing results on the borders.
We all salute our brave Jawans who made that supreme sacrifices. We have, lives being lost every day, but, our Jawans are really brazening it.
Just one more question.
As a minister of the...
Yeah.
Yes. Go on, Sakal.
Yeah. Payal, you can continue. Just to add a bit of a point here, Payal. Dr. Jitendra Singh, if he could comment, does he agree the fact that we have seen a very desperate and a very consistent attempt by Pakistan to make it sure that the border remains boiling, valley remains simmering, and what is now going to be our response at the border? Because almost every day, Payal, we see either a civilian casualty on our side or our forces are getting martyred. This is a pattern now that we see. Do we now get to see a very stepped up retaliation by Indian forces? This is the time.
Dr. Singh, we've seen, our borders really being secure, our soldiers fighting it out. But do we expect in the coming days a stronger response from the Indian side as far as Pakistan is concerned?
See, I don't think I have the mandate to respond directly to that. And these are highly sensitive and security-related issues for which, you have the assigned and agencies which respond. The Defence Ministry and the Ministry of External Affairs will take a call. But as you were mentioning about the security forces, I have no hesitation to say that the nation is eternally indebted to our security forces. And
my final question to you, Dr. Jitendra Singh, not only are you a minister in the government, you're somebody who comes from the state of Jammu and Kashmir, but you bring in a very, very strong message from the Prime Minister's office. What would you today on Republic TV like to tell our brave forces? What would you like to tell our Jawans who are, of course, absolutely self-motivated, but what is the Prime Minister's office message going to be for them? And somebody from Jammu and Kashmir, what are you going to really tell them?
I think personally speaking, and from all of us, message number A, that the nation is eternally indebted to these brave Jawans. There cannot be any repayment for the huge, the supreme sacrifices being made for them. And anybody who says or does anything which tends to undermine or belittle the sacrifices being made by these brave Jawans or tries to be an apologetic on behalf of Pakistan does not deserve any pardon. And I think that is what the 125 crore people of this country believe, except for a handful of them who have developed a vested interest in this continuing instability. And
all right, so that was an exclusive conversation and first-hand government reaction coming on the latest that we are picking up on border. Remember, our forces are retaliating very, very aggressively as we speak, and consequently 2 Pakistani ammunition and oil dumps of Pakistani Rangers have been completely demolished. Now let's go across to our Jammu Bureau Chief Tejinder joining us on phone line. Remember, he filed that ground report from Arnia sector. Tejinder, it's over to you now. The latest that we are picking up is that Gurudwaras and temples are now targeted by the Pakistani side, and also give us a bit of a perspective, the extent of damage that our forces have caused on the other side. Tejinder, over to you.
Yes, Sakal, the retaliation from the border security force and our forces has been massive, and Pakistan side we have been reported for the past 48 hours that the response has been massive from our side, and the Pakistan side has also suffered heavy casualty. They have suffered huge damages, and what we have come to know from our sources in the intelligence department that earlier this morning, due to the cross-border firing and the retaliation of the border security force, 2 ammunition dumps of Pakistan Army, Pakistan Rangers, 2 oil dumps of Pakistan Rangers, so making them 4, have been completely destroyed due to the target fire of the border security force, and these dumps, they have caught fire. So whatever was left there, it has also been damaged. 6 Pakistani border outposts, these are the outposts where from Pakistan Rangers, they have been targeting our villages and our forward outposts. Those 6 Pakistani positions have been completely decimated by the target fire of our security forces. What we have come to know that 10 people have been killed, including 4 Pakistani Rangers, and those 6 who are killed, what we have been told by our sources, are those non-state actors or those terrorists who were aiding the Pakistan Rangers, who were helping the Pakistan Rangers to launch an attack on our forward positions and our villages. So clearly BSF is retaliating. We spoke to some of the senior officers. They say that not a single fire is fired first from our side. So it is from the Pakistan side which violates the ceasefire, and it is the border security force whose target fire later stops the guns on the other side of the border. So it's the retaliation from our side that...
Well, as always, our Indian forces, Tejinder, you would agree, since you've been covering borders very, very consistently, this happens always. Our forces always avenge every drop of blood, whether it's of a civilian or of a soldier that is martyred. Tejinder, keep tracking the story at the IB and LOC. Meanwhile, a short breather here. We're going to be back, dear viewers, this Saturday morning. On the other side, a shocking story of inhuman activity by the police in UP on the other side.